Have you ever seen a steam engine so massive it literally destroyed every track it touched? Or a locomotive designed to recycle its own exhaust because it operated in a desert with zero water? Today, we are uncovering the most insane engineering beasts in history, from the Soviet giant that became a total disaster to the American legend that weighs 1.2 million pounds. We are counting down 10 mechanical monsters that defy physics. Stick around for number 8, a train so long it couldn't even turn a corner. Hit subscribe, buckle up, and let's unleash the beasts. We begin our journey in the harsh, unforgiving landscapes of the South African Karoo Desert. Here, water is more precious than gold, and standard steam engines simply couldn't survive. Enter the South African Railways Class 25, a machine born from desperate necessity. At first glance, it looks like a classic steam giant, but look closely at the tender trailing behind it. That isn't just a coal wagon, it is a massive, complex condensing plant on wheels. This bizarre spaceship attachment houses enormous turbine fans that give the locomotive a distinct howling sound, unlike the rhythmic chug of a normal train. The engineering behind this monster is pure genius. In a regular steam locomotive, used steam is blasted out of the chimney, wasting thousands of gallons of water into the atmosphere. The Class 25 captured that exhaust, piped it back into the tender, and passed it through huge radiators. These fans cooled the steam, turning it back into liquid water to be pumped right back into the boiler. This closed-loop system allowed the Class 25 to travel up to 500 miles without stopping for water, a feat impossible for any other steam engine of its time. However, operating a recycling plant at 60 miles per hour came with consequences. The complexity was a nightmare for mechanics. Oil and grease would often mix with the condensed water, creating a sludge that damaged the boiler tubes. The turbine fans roared like jet engines, creating a haunting noise that echoed for miles across the empty desert. While most were eventually converted to standard non-condensing engines once diesel took over, the original Class 25 remains a monument to human ingenuity, proving we can engineer our way out of even the driest environments on Earth. Fast-forwarding to the 21st century, we meet a German masterpiece of efficiency that refuses to be categorized, the Siemens Vectron dual mode. For decades, railway operators faced a frustrating gap. Electric trains are powerful and clean but become useless dead weight the moment the overhead wires end. Diesel trains can go anywhere but are noisy and polluting under wires. The Vectron dual mode is the monstrous solution that says, "I'll take both." It is a shapeshifter designed to bridge the gap between electrified main lines and the non-electrified last mile into industrial sidings. Don't let its sleek modern aesthetic fool you. This is a heavyweight freight hauler. Weighing in at 90 tons, it packs a 2,400 kilowatt punch. The magic happens in the transition. Without stopping the train, the driver can drop the pantograph and fire up a massive onboard diesel engine, seamlessly switching power sources. It eliminates the costly and time-consuming need to switch locomotives at rail yards. It is the ultimate logistical weapon, ensuring that heavy cargo keeps moving regardless of the infrastructure above it. This machine represents the future of monster engineering, not just raw size, but monstrous adaptability. The modular design allows parts like the front nose to be easily replaced if damaged, minimizing downtime. While it lacks the smoke and fire of the steam era, the Vectron dual mode commands respect through its silence and reliability. It creates massive tractive effort to pull heavy freight trains across Europe's fragmented rail network. It is a silent predator, conquering borders and systems with a cold, calculated German efficiency that older locomotives could only dream of achieving. In the mid-1990s, a horsepower war erupted on American railroads. Railroad companies wanted to pull heavier trains with fewer engines, and General Electric answered with a nuclear option, the AC6000CW. This wasn't just an upgrade, it was a leap into insanity. With a staggering 6,000 horsepower crammed into a single frame, it was designed to replace two standard 3,000 horsepower locomotives. Standing next to one, you feel the ground vibrate. It is a towering block of American steel, instantly recognizable by its massive rear radiators that flare out like wings over the walkway. The heart of this beast is the 7HDL16 engine, a power plant co-developed with German engineers that pushed the limits of diesel technology. The goal was to haul massive coal drags over the Rocky Mountains without needing helper engines. When an AC6000CW throttles up to notch 8, the sound is deafening, a deep guttural roar that signals raw, unadulterated power. It was the absolute peak of the bigger is better philosophy that has defined American railroading for a century. But being a pioneer is dangerous. The sheer power of the AC6000CW literally tore the engine apart in the early days. The vibrations were so intense they caused cracks in the engine block and turbocharger failures. It was a monster that was difficult to tame. General Electric had to spend years refining the design to make it reliable. Today, while many have been derated or retired, the AC6000CW remains a legend. It stands as a testament to a time when engineers looked at the laws of physics and decided to punch a 6,000 horsepower hole right through them. History often remembers the Big Boy as the largest steam locomotive, but the Chesapeake in Ohio's Class H8 Allegheny has a legitimate claim to the throne. Built by the Lima Locomotive Works in the 1940s, the Allegheny was a 2666 articulated titan designed for one specific brutal job: dragging coal trains over the steep grades of the Allegheny Mountains. While the Big Boy was built for distance and speed, the H8 was built for pure bone-crushing muscle. It is widely considered by experts to be the heaviest reciprocating steam locomotive ever built in terms of engine weight. The statistics of the H8 are mind-bending. Its firebox was so cavernous, capable of burning 8 tons of coal per hour, that a standard shovel was useless. It required a mechanical stoker just to keep the fire fed. In dynamometer tests, the Allegheny produced nearly 7,500 horsepower, a figure that actually exceeds the Big Boy's output. It was a boiler on wheels that could generate steam faster than the cylinders could use it. The boiler pressure was so immense that the safety valves would scream like banshees when they popped, terrifying anyone nearby. The H8 was a monster of excess. It was so heavy that it damaged the rails if not operated carefully. It could haul 10,000-ton coal trains single-handedly, replacing 2 or 3 lesser engines. Sadly, the railroad often misused them, running them at slow speeds where their massive horsepower couldn't be fully utilized. Only 2 of these magnificent giants survived the scrapper's torch. The Allegheny remains the bodybuilder of the steam era, a machine of such exaggerated proportions and power that it seems almost cartoonish in its strength. In the vast expanse of China, connecting billions of people requires a machine with incredible endurance. Meet the DF11G, the pride of the China Railway Speed Up campaign. The DF11G is a dual-unit locomotive, meaning it always operates as a pair, joined permanently to create a seamless powerhouse. The G stands for modified, and this beast was built for the prestigious Z-Series direct express trains. It carries massive fuel tanks and supplies, allowing it to run continuously from the freezing snows of Beijing to the humid heat of Hong Kong without refueling. Inside, it houses 2 16 V280ZJA engines that can sustain speeds of 100 miles per hour for 24 hours straight. What makes the DF11G a monster is its reliability under extreme pressure. It served as the backbone of China's passenger transport during the critical years before high-speed rail took over. Even today, in emergencies or on non-electrified lines, the DF11G is the machine they call. Deep inside the Arctic Circle, on the border of Sweden and Norway, operates a train that eats other trains for breakfast. This is the Bombardier IORE. Most locomotives are built for speed or mixed cargo. The IORE was built for one thing: moving mountains of iron ore. It consists of 2 identical electric sections coupled together to form a single unit that produces a terrifying 14,000 horsepower. With a tractive effort of 1,200 kilonewtons, it is officially one of the most powerful locomotives on the planet. The operating conditions here are lethal. Temperatures drop to 40 degrees, and the tracks are covered in ice. Standard steel becomes brittle and snaps, but the IORE is built like a tank. It hauls trains weighing up to 8,600 metric tons, that's nearly 19 million pounds, down from the mines to the port. Here is the crazy part. Because the route is mostly downhill towards the coast, the IORE uses its massive electric motors as generators. It uses regenerative braking to hold the heavy train back, generating so much electricity that it actually powers the empty trains going back up the hill. Everything about the IORE is heavy-duty. The axle load is a crushing 30 tons, requiring specially reinforced tracks. If a normal train tried to drive on these rails, it would look like a toy. The couplers are made of high-strength steel to prevent the train from snapping in half under its own weight. The IORE is a silent, freezing monster, a testament to how extreme engineering is required to extract resources from the most hostile corners of the Earth. The 1939 World's Fair in New York promised a world of tomorrow, and the Pennsylvania Railroad unveiled their vision of the future, the Class S1. Styled by the legendary industrial designer Raymond Loewy, the S1 was a masterpiece of Art Deco design. It looked like a bullet, streamlined and futuristic. But underneath that beautiful shell was a mechanical Frankenstein. It utilized a unique duplex drive system with a 6-4-4-6 wheel arrangement. It was the longest rigid-frame locomotive ever built, stretching an incredible 140 feet. However, the S1 was a classic case of form over function. It was simply too big. The locomotive was so long that it couldn't navigate the tighter curves of the rail network, severely limiting where it could go. Worse, the weight distribution was flawed. Most of the weight rested on the pilot trucks rather than the driving wheels. This meant the S1 was prone to terrible wheel slip. When starting a heavy train, the wheels would spin helplessly on the rails, grinding steel against steel while the train went nowhere. Despite rumors that it once exceeded 150 miles per hour to make up time, the S1 was a maintenance nightmare. It spent more time in the repair shop than on the tracks. The sheer length meant it often derailed in the yards. After only a few years of service, this beautiful monster was quietly scrapped. The S1 serves as a valuable history lesson. Engineering limits exist for a reason. It was a glorious, expensive failure, a dinosaur that was too big to survive in a changing world. If the S1 was a mistake, the Soviet AA20-1 was a catastrophe. In the 1930s, Soviet planners wanted to showcase their industrial superiority to the world. Their solution? Build the locomotive with the most driving wheels in history. The AA20 featured a 4-14-4 wheel arrangement. Yes, you heard that right. 7 driving axles all fixed in a single rigid frame. It was a beast designed to haul massive coal trains in the Donbass region, but the designers ignored basic geometry. When the AA20-1 finally hit the tracks, disaster struck immediately. The locomotive was so long and stiff that it couldn't go around curves. Instead of turning, the massive force of the wheels simply pushed the rails apart, widening the track gauge and causing the train to derail. It destroyed the switches and points in every rail yard it entered. It was a track-wrecking machine. Additionally, it was too heavy for the existing bridges and too long for the turntables, meaning once it reached its destination, it couldn't turn around to come back. The AA20-1 made only a single promotional trip before the engineers realized they had built a useless monster. It was quietly parked on a siding and eventually scrapped, and its existence was hushed up to avoid embarrassment. It stands as the ultimate example of engineering hubris. It proved that you cannot simply add more wheels to a problem and hope it works. The AA20-1 remains a mysterious metallic ghost of the Soviet era. In 1969, the Union Pacific Railroad celebrated its 100th anniversary, and they wanted a gift for themselves. They went to Electromotive Diesel, EMD, and asked for the biggest, baddest diesel locomotive ever made. The result was the DDA40X, fittingly nicknamed the Centennial. At 98 feet long, it remains the longest single-unit diesel locomotive in history. It is so large that it essentially consists of two huge diesel engines mounted on a single chassis, producing a combined 6,600 horsepower. The X in its name stood for experimental, and this machine was a rolling laboratory. It pioneered the modular electronic systems that are standard in trains today, but for the crews it was all about the ride. The DDA40X was fast, capable of hauling freight at 90 miles per hour. Its massive length and weight gave it an incredibly smooth ride, gliding over the tracks like a luxury liner. The distinctive wide nose cab became a symbol of safety and comfort for the engineers. Only 47 of these land yachts were ever built, and they dominated the American West for over a decade. Seeing a Centennial thunder across the Nebraska plains was a sight to behold. They were retired as fuel efficiency became more important than raw power, but one, number 6936, was kept in service for decades as a heritage unit. The DDA40X is the peak of the big diesel era, a reminder of a time when Union Pacific's philosophy was simply to build the biggest thing on rails and get out of the way. And finally, we arrive at the king, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the Union Pacific Big Boy. Coded as the 4884, this articulated giant was born in 1941 with a singular purpose: to conquer the Wasatch Mountains without needing help. It is 132 feet long and weighs 1.2 million pounds. To put that in perspective, that is heavier than 3 Boeing 747s combined. It is not just a train, it is a moving fortress of steel, fire, and steam. The Big Boy is a marvel of articulation. The front set of driving wheels can swing independently, allowing this massive beast to navigate curves that would derail smaller, rigid locomotives. It consumed 28 tons of coal and 24,000 gallons of water, requiring a massive centipede tender just to keep it fed. During World War II, these monsters were critical to the Allied war effort, hauling millions of tons of supplies across the continent. Unlike the flawed designs we saw earlier, the Big Boy worked perfectly right out of the box. For 60 years, we thought they were gone, silent museum pieces. But in 2019, Union Pacific performed a miracle. They restored Big Boy number 4014 to fully operational condition. Watching it run today is a spiritual experience. The ground shakes, the heat hits your face, and the whistle screams with a voice from the past. It is the only operating machine of its size in the world. The Big Boy isn't just a locomotive, it is the ultimate mechanical proof of American industrial ambition. From the water recycling Class 25 to the track-destroying Soviet AA20, these 10 monsters pushed the limits of what humans could build. They were loud, heavy, and absolutely magnificent. Which one is your favorite? I'm sticking with the Big Boy, but let me know yours in the comments. If you enjoyed this heavy metal history, smash that like button and subscribe for more engineering insanity. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next track.